This is one fat boy near my March Madness predictions for the round of 64. So for the Thursday slate of games in the West region, I'll be going with Memphis minus 2.5 for Memphis versus Boise State. Because I just view Memphis as a basketball school, so I'm just giving them slight advantage over Boise State. As this should be a close game overall. For Gonzaga versus Georgia State, I just view Gonzaga being able to cover the spread and just win in general, as they are the 1 seed. They've been doing it all year. No reason why they can't cover a 23.5 spread. For New Mexico State versus UConn, I actually have New Mexico State winning, and in case they do lose, I think they'll keep it close against UConn, so hence I'll be taking the spread for New Mexico State. Then same reasons for Vermont at Arkansas, as for them it's only +5 even though it's a 4 and a 13. I think how Vermont shoots the ball, and even if it is like they do lose, I think it'll actually be a close game as they match up well against Arkansas, so +5. For the Friday slate for the West region, I think Texas Tech will be able to take care of Montana State, no problem, as I see Texas Tech as the second best team in the West region. And then for Duke versus CSU Fullerton, never heard of them, so I think Duke should be able to handle them, no problem. And for Davidson at Michigan State, I'll be leaning towards Michigan State -1, as I kind of see them as the dark horse in the region, even though Davidson can get hot, but I think Tom Izzo is experienced, and Michigan State will figure out a way to win in the clutch. For Alabama versus Rutgers Notre Dame, as I'm filming this game hasn't been decided yet, but either or, no matter who wins this, I think they match up well against Alabama. And I'm leaning towards Rutgers overall, so I am kind of predicting this as if Rutgers is playing. But I think whoever wins between Rutgers and Notre Dame will be getting to the round of 32, and if they do lose, it's a close game, +5.5. For the East region, so for Thursday, slate of games, Baylor should be able to win against Norfolk State, no problem. Like the zone defense, smaller school like Norfolk State will have a tough time against that. Marquette versus North Carolina, I think most people are going to be leaning towards North Carolina, but I think Marquette might be able to sneak out a win. But either or, I think whoever wins this will give Baylor a tough game in their round of 32, but lean towards Marquette in this one. For St. Peter's versus Kentucky, obviously Kentucky should win against a smaller program, as they do every year. Like, they always have some of the best talent in the nation, so don't see Kentucky losing to a 15 seed. For San Francisco versus Murray State, I'm going to lean towards Murray State +1.5. People are very up on San Francisco, but I'm a little bit more up on Murray State. But both these teams, when they advance to the next round, I think they'll give Kentucky a run for their money. But I was leaning towards Murray State. For UCLA versus Akron, UCLA should win, no problem, as they're actually my favorite to win in these regions. So I do see them winning and covering that spread. Then St. Mary's versus Indiana. St. Mary's gives Gonzaga a run for their money when they play, and I see anyone who plays St. Mary's going to have a tough time trying to win. So St. Mary's -4.5. Then for Friday, slate of games for the East region. So I think Purdue, they'll still win, but I think Yale will be able to keep it closer than 16 points, but Purdue should still win. Then Virginia Tech should be able to win against Texas. The spread is +1, but I think Virginia Tech, after winning the ACC tournament, they're kind of poised for a deeper run than expected. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if I see them in the Elite Eight. For the South region, for the Thursday slate of games, got Michigan versus Colorado State, and even though Michigan is the lower seed, they are favored, and they are like a basketball school, so the program, just how they're coached, will probably lead them to a win. And then Longwood versus Tennessee, as I see Tennessee as a very strong team. They won their tournament, so Tennessee covering 17-point spread and winning, I see that as very possible. And then for the Friday slate of games for the South region, Loyola Chicago actually favored against Ohio State, and as it is the tournament season and Loyola Chicago, they do show up, and Ohio State kind of disappears on the big stage. Delaware versus Villanova. Villanova, basketball school, and they only play basketball. So Villanova should be able to cover 15.5 spread and win. Then Illinois, they got like one of the best players in college basketball, should be able to take down Chattanooga, win pretty easily, cover 7.5 spread reasonable. UAB versus Houston. I think Houston, very strong 5 seed. Overall, the South region is pretty strong for the top 5 seeds. Houston should be able to win no problem as well. TCU versus Seton Hall. Honestly, this is a coin flip game, but I usually see Seton Hall in the tournament every year, or like pretty close to it. So I just see them as a basketball school. So I'm just giving an advantage that way. So I just see Seton Hall winning, just because I see them as a basketball school. Then Arizona, spread isn't out yet, but probably end up being like somewhere in the 20s, so 21.5. I see them winning no problem, as I see Arizona as the team getting out of the South region. For the Midwest region, so for South Dakota State versus Providence, even though this is, I believe it's a 4-13 seed matchup, only +2. So very close game, as South Dakota State matches up very well with Providence, so hence why I'm leaning towards South Dakota State. Richmond versus Iowa. Even though Richmond, they won their tournament, beat Davidson, Iowa also was playing very well. I see them winning. Like if they get going from 3, I think that's going to be hard to stop. For Creighton versus San Diego State, San Diego State like matches up very well against Creighton. They kind of counter Creighton, so I kind of see San Diego State winning against Creighton no problem. And 2.5, I think that's actually very reasonable to take. For Kansas versus Texas Southern, Kansas should win no problem. They're a 1 seed. Like 16 seed has only won once. I don't see it happening in the near future, especially during this tournament. For Jacksonville versus Auburn, Auburn should be able to handle a 15 seed no problem and should be able to win in a blowout. Miami versus USC. We load with USC -1.5. I think the Pac-12, they've been showing up in the tournament, and South Carolina, part of the Pac-12, they're like battle tested. Should be able to handle Miami. Iowa State versus LSU. I always see Iowa State was like a lower seed, like play better in the tournament than LSU. I think just happen to have a good basketball here, but I see Iowa State, always see them in the tournament, so I just have to go with my gut with this one and just say that they'll sneak away with a win. Then Colgate versus Wisconsin. If you think Colgate will get hot from 3 against Wisconsin, take Colgate, but if you think just Wisconsin, I see them every year in the tournament, but they are kind of like the weaker 3 seed out of the 4 3 seeds, and if there is a 3 seed to fall, I think it will be Wisconsin, so hence why I'm taking Colgate. But if they do lose, I don't think it's going to be a close game, so +7 is reasonable. Thank you for watching. As always, have fun watching the tournament.